Awesome, we're rolling in here.
All right, welcome everybody. As we start to get everybody out of the waiting room and into the presentation, I'll go ahead and give us a little welcome. We are going to be talking today about registration, renewal, and recognition. I'm Carrie Davidson. I am at the University of Kentucky, and I am the co-chair for EIM-OC along with Neil.
Hello, yes, I'm Neil Peterson at Brigham Young University, also co-chair with Carrie, and we're really happy to have you here. It's that time of year again, the festive time of year to talk about EIM on-campus registration and recognition. So glad you could be here with us today.
Yeah, so we're going to have a few changes coming, which is one reason that I'm really excited that we get to do this webinar. Not only are you in my living room, which is new and different for everything in 2020 with us today, but there's some changes that are going to go along with recognition, and we're really excited about some of them. So I'm going to just go ahead and let us get started here.
So we're going to cover a few different things today. The registration and renewal process. I think most of the people here joining are probably interested in the renewal process, but in case there's anybody here considering joining for the first time, we'll talk just a little bit about registration, and then also about the recognition process, the options for receiving recognition this year, as well as a special COVID badge that we're offering this year due to the recent pandemic circumstances. And then we'll have time at the end for any questions that you may have about this process.
Yes, so if you have never registered before, so if you're a brand new school and you're listening in, this is really the first step, is to get registered. So get your campus registered as an exercises medicine on campus registered school. There is a leadership team form online that can help you to get started. It looks like this. You can see on our slide here. So if you're brand new, this is really the first step. If you are here to learn more about what renewal looks like this year, it's going to look a little different too. All you have to do is fill out the form, just that first page of the renewal recognition application. We have to do this annually, so we really want you to make sure that your information is up to date.
With your leadership team, there are several people, as you're probably already aware, that need to be a part of your leadership team. There needs to be an advisor who kind of helps oversee the group's activities, has to be a faculty or staff member of your campus, and helps kind of provide guidance for your team as you go about your different activities and education and implementation. So, and now the advisor doesn't have to be a exercise professional or a healthcare professional. It could be anybody who's interested in making, EIM-OC active on the campus. Myself, I am a family nurse practitioner and I'm in the College of Nursing, so I'm in the health field. Carrie is an exercise professional. In addition to the advisor, you need to also make sure that you have a healthcare professional and a health fitness professional, because those components are really integral to what it is that we're trying to accomplish with EIM-OC. You need to be able to have a healthcare professional, hopefully giving you that into implementing the physical activity vital sign, other measurements and intervention there, at the Student Health Wellness Center with employee health as well, and having that health fitness professional who knows about exercise prescription. Also, we want to involve students in this process, and so you need to have at least 2 current students as part of the on-campus leadership team. Everyone that I hire as a teaching assistant or research assistant, I just automatically bring them into my EIM-OC leadership team and gives them an opportunity to participate in things outside of those other duties that they have. We do need contact information for every member of your leadership team, so that they can be, in the know of these kind of webinars and other materials that we send out.
That's right. So once you have your leadership team in place, once you've either registered for the first time or you've renewed your campus as an exercises medicine on campus registered school, then comes recognition. So registration is the first process or the first step in the process, and then comes recognition. So there's some changes coming for this year because 2020 has been such an interesting year. I know all the adjectives that have been used so far have probably been overused to describe the year of 2020. So I'm just going to go with interesting. So this year, if you are an EIM-OC school, there are 3 different things that you can do. You can choose to maintain the level of recognition that your school already has. So if you are already a recognized silver, bronze, or gold school, you can choose to maintain that recognition level and let it sort of roll over into 2021. What's new for this year is that we are adding this COVID badge, and you can see it on the screen there, the Exercises Medicine on Campus COVID Conqueror. So if you have done anything that has really helped your school, your students, your staff, your employees to stay physically active during the last year, whether it was something you would have done anyway or something new, if you've done anything to really help that process through the COVID pandemic, then you can earn this COVID Conquer badge. So you can maintain your recognition, roll it over, and you can add the COVID badge, or you can choose not to add the COVID badge. That's your choice. The next option is when you apply for recognition for the very first time. So once you've been a registered school and you have actually met some of the criteria for silver or bronze or gold level recognition, we're going to talk about that in just a little bit, then you can go ahead and put in the application and apply for that level. And then you have the choice again to add on the COVID Conqueror badge or not. And then the third option is if you have been a recognized school and you want to apply to advance your recognition level. So you were at silver or bronze and you want to go up to gold, or you were at bronze and want to go up to silver, or any combination of that. You can apply to advance your recognition level, give us the ins and outs of what you've done, and then choose to add in that COVID badge or not. So you really have 3 options. The base level would be just to maintain what you've been doing, maintain the level of recognition that you have. You could apply to advance up, or if you're a first-time school, you could apply for recognition for the very first time, and then any of those have the choice to add in the COVID Conqueror badge or not.
Now, many of you may already be familiar with the recognition process, but just as a reminder, and for those who have never done this before, there'll be a link where you go to upload your information. And so if you, for example, if you want to maintain your recognition, there'll be an option for you there to click that says maintain my campus status from the previous year. If you're not sure if you were a bronze, silver, or gold level, there'll be a link there on the survey so you can go and see. Sometimes we know sometimes there's a change in the leadership team. You may not be sure what your recognition status was for the previous year. And so those are, every campus that's recognized for every level is always posted on the EIM-OC website, so you can find it there, and there'll be a link during the recognition survey. At that time, you can also then click, select an option if you want to add the COVID badge or not. And I just want to mention that this COVID Conqueror badge is we really want to recognize the efforts that all of you have done to try and help through physical activity and other interventions to help with the well-being of students, staff, and faculty on your campuses. And we wanted to do this to kind of show that appreciation.
Yeah, so if you're going to be advancing your level of recognition or applying for the first time, then you would want to complete the renewal and recognition application. You're going to want to provide supporting documentation for the level that you are applying for. It could be bronze, silver, or gold, depending on your activities. And again, we're going to hit that here in just a second. And then choose to add in that COVID badge or not. So it's a really easy path to follow once you get inside that form. to tell you what you need to do next, and next. So just follow along on the instructions.
We're going to go over now the different levels, the bronze, silver, and gold level. The bronze level is really kind of I think one of the easiest to accomplish. Basically, anything that you do as physical activity promotion, any sort of activity that you do kind of at the club level, class level, college, or even across your entire campus, anything that you do to help promote physical activity on your campus will help to meet this. As you can see, some options are hosting at least, you need to host at least one event or activity, but you could also secure a EIM-OC month proclamation from the city or a campus official. It's very easy to do. Create or offer campus-wide options for physical activity, or have some other promotional activity. We've done lots of things on my campus. We've had fun walks, because I'm in the nursing program. We do stuff with our nursing students, and they're always looking for something to help break up the monotony of all of their clinical and other practicing skills and other stuff that they do. So
yeah, so that's the bronze level. If you are looking at applying to be recognized at the silver level, then you are going to want to do at least one of those health promotion or physical activity promotion activities from the bronze level. All right, so one of the bronze has to be done, and then two of the silver boxes here will have to be done. And that can really be anything that's going to educate people around physical activity. So this might be a campus or community seminar, webinar, brown bag, lunch, things like that. It might be working with other groups on campus, whether they're physical activity related or health related groups, to offer counseling by a qualified health professional. So this might be mental health, this might be in regards to exercise counseling, so any of those things. Campus health, if your campus health department provides education on the importance of physical activity, that counts. There's a spot on the recognition and renewal form to upload some PDF documents, so you could include this as part of your PDF document if there's a brochure or something like that that is inside of your campus health center, or any other educational activity that really not only just promotes it and gets you to do it, but really tells you why. So that's really what we want to do with the silver level.
I just want to mention real quick, as part of the silver level, since I'm in a health related field, we actually use physical activity education as part of the training of the nurses and nurse practitioners in my programs. They learn, like during the vital signs, when they're learning to do heart rate and blood pressure and respiratory rate and all that, that they're supposed to be asking questions like the physical activity vital sign. And so it doesn't just have to be education, across campus, trying to get everybody. It can also be very targeted and part of curriculum as well.
Yeah.
In the gold level, this is really where we're trying to implement something that we can measure and follow, and hopefully get people in the process of thinking about this is something they need to be on their minds frequently. So as part of the gold level, this is the assessment and referral stage. You need to complete all of the boxes below. So you have to have one bronze activity, so part of the, some sort of activity. Silver level, educational level, PAVS, the physical activity vital sign, needs to be implemented on campus, usually through student health, although this also could be done through some sort of staff and faculty program, wellness program as well. And then as part of that, not only do we want to be measuring their physical activity vital sign, but then we want to do something with that information. And so you need to have at least one referral option as part of that process. So you can create a partnership to provide exercise prescriptions. There can be departmental referrals to health and fitness program. Hopefully, if you're doing this through, say, some sort of campus health or university health center, and they have an electronic medical record system, they should be able to integrate that into their EMR, their electronic medical record, where it can be tracked and that information can be pulled out. In the future, or soon even, in the near future, we're hoping to really boost our research efforts and be able to pull out that information on the physical activity vital sign as well as what kind of referral process is going on, so we can start tracking just the amount of impact that we're having on campuses across the world.
Yeah, and I want to say a word here too on our gold level. You can be really creative when it comes to making these things happen. So in the world where I live at the University of Kentucky, we actually have separate health services for students. So student health is one thing and employee health is a separate thing. And we have University of Kentucky Healthcare is a huge conglomeration. And so we had to do them separately because they even had separate EMRs. And so the student side of things was already created. It already had paths and it already had a referral process in place. And so what we've spent our last 3 years really doing, 2 to 3 years with our EIM-OC campus, is working on the employee side of things. So, you know, there's always room to grow. There's always a way to get more EIM-OC energies created around the world. So I just wanted to mention that, you know, just because you run into a roadblock, there's other ways to be creative, and we're all happy to talk about what that might look like and some resources for that.
I think you'll find,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think you'll find if you're seeing a roadblock, just go to the next person until you find someone willing to work with you. Because as soon as you can get someone else on board, then you can say, hey, look, they want to do it too. And then all of a sudden, hopefully there'll be a cascade and everybody will be willing to work with you, where once there were roadblocks, there should be, you know, doors opening for you as well.
Yep, for sure. So applications are due February 15th. So here in just the next couple weeks, you're going to see that application go live for registration, recognition, and renewal, all of them. So that is coming, but don't forget they're due February 15th, and we will be sending out reminder emails to those campuses who are registered or who have been registered in the past. But share that to your other colleagues and friends and students in other universities who might be interested in EIM-OC.
All of this will be available on the website when you go to exercises medicine, and then you're probably used to seeing this here. There's the 3 sections down at the bottom for healthcare providers, exercise professionals, and there we are there in the orange color EIM on campus. You'll go there to help complete this process.
Yep, and then we also have that action guide. You can see a picture of it on the right side of your screen. There's an action guide that really walks you through step by step of what you need to do. We've included all those links that Neil just mentioned. We've included those here. So the very first starting place is exercisesmedicine.org. And then you'll want to go to that bottom right orange box that says EIM on campus. That will be your registration form right there, or renewal if that's the route that you're taking, that you're going to enter your leadership team. You're going to apply for recognition here. All of those things are listed here. These links are going to be really useful for you. Also, the other thing I want to mention here is that EIM Credential. So whenever the referral process happens from a healthcare provider to a patient, and then they refer them to a health and fitness professional, you know, that can open up a whole new can of worms as to who is a certified and credentialed health fitness professional. And so EIM has gone the extra step to take all the certifications into consideration, and then if you have certain levels of education and certification, then you can get, as a health fitness professional, you can get an EIM credential. And so that might be an EIM 1 or 2 or 3 to get an EIM credential. So in a perfect world, a healthcare provider would refer to an EIM credentialed health fitness professional, but that may or may not be the case. But EIM has gone the extra step to conglomerate all of those, and you can find those links here at certification.acsm.org with that EIM credential.
So if you have any questions, the magician behind the curtain, as it were, is none other than our lovely Shelby Mandla, of course. She's the EIM program manager, and she answers the questions that Carrie and I have. And so if you if you're wondering about anything, she is the person to contact about all things EIM-OC. And she's a wonderful resource for helping you get through registering your campus, applying for recognition, or any questions that you have about renewal. I know we've now thrown out this COVID Conqueror badge, but all of these things, Shelby knows all the answers. She knows more answers than we do, and we'll be able to help you through that process should you need it.
Yeah, so if you guys have questions, I'm not sure if you can, I don't think that you can unmute and ask them verbally, but you can put them in the chat. So if you're in the GoToWebinar and you have the little box up on the top right, there's a chat in the bottom, and you can type your questions in there. And while you guys are typing in any questions that you might have about registration for the first time, renewing your campus, or getting recognized and this brand new COVID Conqueror badge, while you guys are typing those in, I'm actually going to turn the slides off so we can all see faces and answer your questions.
I think one question that might come up, if it hasn't already yet, Shelby, is how should people expect to get their certificate this coming year?
Yeah, great question. This past year, we actually did the ceremony, recognition ceremony that we typically do at annual meeting in person. We did it online, and a recording of that can be found on our website. So we'll be emailing them for sure. We typically always email them and then give the physical copy at annual meeting. And then we'll probably have the option to mail those certificates for people who don't have printing access or capabilities. We've done that in the past as well. So we'll get it into your hands for sure. We actually do have quite a few questions coming in. So if you guys are ready, I can start listing those off.
Yeah, tell us.
Okay. The first one is related to the leadership team. So Judith asked, can the advisor and the health professional be the same person, or do you need 5 people on that leadership team to register or renew?
Well, so each person has their own role. So for example, I'm a healthcare professional, but I have another healthcare professional as a member of the leadership team. So my role on the leadership team is the advisor. So you do want 5 people on your leadership team so that everybody has each of their own roles. Obviously, I think in most cases, probably in the United States, a lot of those, the advisor and health fitness professionals might be coming from the same college, might be health fitness professional. But at least in my case, it doesn't have to be. Your advisor could be in any area at all. Doesn't even need to be healthcare or exercise science at all. It can be in any area. But we do want you to have all 5 members to be filled by 5 different people.
Right. Great. Thank you. This other question is from Andrew. How can we tell if we are already or properly registered?
Yeah, so that's a good question. You can see a list of all the registered schools on our exercisesmedicine.org website. That first useful link that I gave you is exercisesmedicine.org, and there's a list there of all the registered schools. So if your school's listed there, you know you've been registered within the last year.
And the same goes for that recognition level. I think we have another question about that. If you would like to see, I know Neil mentioned on the application, this year we're going to link to that webpage, but you can also see if your school received recognition last year and at what level. That's all on the website.
Yeah. And we know there's turnover every year at all institutions, and so you may not be aware what you had before. So going to that link to see what you had previously will let you know, because it won't say in the application, if you're clicking to maintain, it won't say what you had previously, but you'll be able to go to that link there and see what you had.
That's a great point. This question comes from Louise. We do not have a health center, but we do have a counseling department. Would a referral from the counseling count in the gold level?
I think it probably would, as long as you're doing physical activity vital sign and then making a referral. I don't see why it has to be a physical, what we might traditionally think of as a physical health center. I guess you could just, just a traditional health center, but counseling or mental health centers, I think, would be just as good.
Yeah, absolutely. Ours come in from healthcare, ours come in from counseling services, from student health, ours come in from all over. So yeah, absolutely. As long as you're getting that physical activity as a vital sign question in there, the referrals can come in from lots of different groups.
Yep, that's the key. We do have several schools at the gold level who don't have a health center on campus like you, Louise. So this is definitely a valid option. But like Carrie said, it's important that you're asking that question systematically or routinely to all students to make sure that you're capturing kind of the physical activity vital sign just in a different setting than a health center, and that's totally fine. Let's see. We will be sending out the recording and the slides, so you'll get that. We had a question about that. There was another question related to the previous question from a different person, and this says counseling or psychological services, but also wellness coaching or dietitian and nutrition counseling. Would that count towards gold status?
I'm going to stick with the same answer that it does, as long as you're asking physical activity as a vital sign. And I'm going to want to go ahead and just take that one step further. So Neil really has done a really good job of providing some leadership around research this year for exercise as medicine. And that is one of the things that we can look at from a research standpoint is however you frame the question of, are you getting 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise? Are you getting, whether you're asking strength training, cardio, all the questions, or you're just getting it down to one question? That's what we have done. That way, then we have sort of a binary 0-1 answer, right? Like yes or no. And so those no's definitely get the referral. We've made it really easy for our healthcare providers. So as long as that dietitian or whomever the professional is that the person is seeing is asking it, and they're all asking it in the sort of same way, and then getting their referral, I think absolutely.
Yeah, we're not trying to have barriers. We want people to be successful. So whatever is available on your campus where these assessments can take place, and then somewhere that they can be referred to. I mean, we would love to make that something that's successful for your campus. So if that's, whatever that kind of process might look like for your institution, I think it will work as long as you meet all of the criteria.
Perfect. Okay. Actually, Carrie, this is a good question because it's about the University of Kentucky, your institution. And it comes from Rosie, which you know. It says, hi, Carrie, Shelby, and Neil. I am taking over as the advisor for UK. Can I apply for renewal if Carrie was the advisor last year?
Yep, absolutely. So that's part of that leadership team at the beginning, is because we've had switched. So what Rosie's referring to, Dr. Lanphier is referring to, is once I switched up to provide some leadership here for our EIM-OC, I asked Dr. Lanphier to stand in as our advisor. So we still have a healthcare provider, we still have a health fitness professional, we still have 2 students. So we still meet the criteria, we've just had a change in command, so to speak. So we'll just put the new information and we'll just roll right on.
This person has a question about maintaining their status, which we briefly discussed in the beginning. If our school has been recognized as a gold campus, does that mean that we have to apply for maintaining the recognition in 2021?
Yeah, exactly. All you have to do is you do have to go through the process, or I should say, you do have to go through the survey again, and there'll be a button there for you to click to maintain your previous status, whether it was bronze, silver, or gold. And that will be sufficient to carry it over for this next year. We don't anticipate that it will be like this next year. It's just due to, this year's circumstances that's what we're offering this year. But maintaining your previous status will be very easy. It'll be as simple as just clicking a button saying to maintain your previous status. But we do want to encourage you that if you've done anything related to combating the ill effects of COVID, to apply also to get the COVID Conqueror badge for this year, because we really want to recognize the efforts that you've done to help during this difficult time.
Would you mind expanding upon what information will be requested about the COVID Conqueror badge, what you'll need to submit if you want to receive that recognition?
Yes, so if you have done anything related to EIM-OC on campus this year for COVID, so for example, maybe your campus got shut down in the spring, most of us did, and you switched and did some virtual classes, or you did a virtual webinar, or you did something over Zoom or on Facebook Live or social media, you had an Instagram account or an Instagram campaign for exercise. All of these things will check that box for COVID Conqueror. So if you've done anything, and it might be something you were planning to do anyway, then COVID sort of really just pushed you forward to get that done. Or maybe it was, we're all sort of scrambling here in the last minute and trying to be creative and how to still do EIM. And that's how it happened. It doesn't necessarily matter how it happened, and it doesn't matter if it's health promotion related, health education related, or assessment and information related, referral related. So it doesn't necessarily matter what level it's on or what it was, but we will ask you to upload some documentation of what you have done. And it might just be, you know, a brochure copy. It might be a group fitness schedule where you show that you're doing it on Zoom or something like that. It might be your Instagram campaign. It might be any of those things. It's just a simple upload.
You know, and as changes that are forced upon us begets creativity. And so we're really interested to see what everybody has been able to come up with. And so sure, this maybe isn't maybe some things that were pre-planned that were going to be implemented anyway, but we're sure that a lot of these weren't. But we're really looking forward to finding out what these are and also sharing this with everyone as well as possible resources going forward.
Yeah, while Shelby's looking at those other questions, I want to add in that the last webinar that we did had to do with COVID. It was our student-led webinar because we do one webinar a quarter, and our students talked about what they have done and how they transitioned in the time of COVID. And then from there, we asked all advisors to come into a group, and then we did sort of a discussion on what resources they've been using. And we're in the process still of compiling all of that to share out.
Yeah, that was so good. That was a great webinar. Definitely check it out.
I agree. It was great. Okay, a couple more questions here coming in. Feel free to keep submitting those questions. Each year that we apply for recognition, we want to be as descriptive as possible with our activities, so we end up attaching as many flyers, brochures, photos, etc. However, our PDF ends up being large, and we also don't want to overburden the committee reviewing the applications. Is there such a thing as overkill with the attachments? What's the good middle ground? What's the expectation?
That's a good question. We don't want the process to be burdensome for you. I don't know if there's someone on your leadership team who's kind of your historian, who's kind of gathering this stuff along the way, because that's probably the best way to do it rather than once a year trying to go back and get everything all at once, although I know that's how I do it. I don't see anything wrong with giving us more information. Again, we're hoping to start making, you know, a great database of information. Some of it was shared in the previous webinars, was mentioned, but we're just fine having more information. But we also know that your time is valuable. So as long as you meet the criteria and submit the evidence that you need to, then that is perfectly fine. But there's nothing wrong with just giving us everything you have. We would love to have that information.
Yeah, and he clarified. He said we don't say that we're burdening. It's not a burden for us. We just don't want to burden you. And I would like to reemphasize what Neil said. And we love seeing it. This is the one time of year where we get to see what everybody's doing around the world. So the more, the better. I love looking through all the activities that are going on, especially this year. It's going to be really valuable to be able to pull those things and then be able to share them with all other registered schools.
honestly, the stuff that you all do is inspiring. We love to see that. You all do such an amazing job, and we love to see the creativity. And I know that I would love to steal a lot of the things that you're doing and do on my campus as well. You all do amazing work on your various campuses. And so we would love to have as much information as possible. Just gobble it up.
Perfect. Yeah, this one I can answer first. If you guys have anything to add, it's more of an administrative question. This person asked, is there a way to see the application to make sure that that we have the information that we need ahead of time? We did that last year where we sent out a PDF of the application prior to the live date, and that will certainly be the case this year as well. So we'll be emailing that. Like Carrie said at the beginning, we have a series of emails that will be going out to advisors and leadership teams. So you'll definitely get that PDF, but thank you for asking and letting us clarify that.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful having that. Yeah.
Yeah, that way you can kind of prepare rather than have it last minute. This person asked, is it possible to use our 2018 or 2019 recognition for this coming 2021 year?
So we're just going to take whatever was the previous year. So this year's recognition can be pulled forward to 2021. We don't want to go into going beyond that. It's just too much to take care of, and we want to see, that you're still, that you still had done stuff the previous year. So I don't know if we come up with a definite answer before that, but I think the way we had decided was this was just going to take the direct previous year to carry forward to 2021.
Yep, that's correct. Every year, schools have to reapply for recognition. They get recognized for whatever they've done in the past year. So that's the same for this year, except we're just kind of carrying it over from 2020, like Neil said. So if that's your case and you didn't get recognition last year, you can always choose that second option of applying for recognition. You can go through the whole application process and submit your work and documentation of what you've been doing in 2020 to receive recognition this year. So you're not out of luck, but there's a little bit more documentation that we'll need from you rather than just carrying over your status. Okay, we have a couple more here. Okay, when we apply for renewal, should we include non-graduating students on the application? In other words, while the applications are due February 2021, what if the student representatives on that application will graduate this May 2021? Should the student representatives on that application still be students through the next academic year, fall 2021?
Right.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, like Shelby said, we really want to recognize you for what you've done the past year. So if that student had been involved in EIM-OC in the past year, then I say yes, go ahead and put them on there as one of your student representatives.
I always have lots of overturn in my teaching assistants and research assistants, and as I said previously, I just always bring them in. Even though they have these other responsibilities for me, I always involve them in EIM-OC. And so sometimes they've graduated that same semester, and I've listed them on there, but I just always have, what we're really looking for is that you've got the full complement for your EIM-OC team.
Yeah, that's great. And that's the reason why we do renewal, right? Every year, so that we can take those people off of the list that need to be taken off. And also with COVID, we've changed. We used to only communicate directly to advisors of the leadership team. Now with certain communications, we send that to everybody since schools are scattered, students are at home, faculty is at home. So this is kind of a way to keep in touch. Let me see here. One other question has come in. This is about kind of registration for the first time. So do any of you have some advice for student or for institutions who are registering their school for the first time? For example, getting motivated students, faculty who want to lead, supportive departments, etc.
I'm sorry, I was getting an echo on there. I'm not sure I caught all that.
I could hear that too. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask it again, and if not, then I can put it in the chat for you to read. I don't know why it's echoing. Okay, do any of you have some advice for some of us who are registering for their school for the first time? For example, getting motivated students or faculty who want to lead, supportive departments, etc.
So I would say the first step is, that echo's still there. The first step would be to find other units, departments, groups, clubs on campus that are doing something that's exercise related, that already have the motivation inside, the internal motivation to be doing these things on campus. Those are going to be your first line partners. Those are going to be the people that you want to come to first to say, you're doing what I want everybody else to do, and I want to share that news. Can we partner up? So I would first find those people, and then when you're ready to take it up to the next level, so say you want that that city official, you want the mayor, or you want the president of your institution to do the proclamation, then you can sort of all come as a group, and there's power in that, right? There's power in numbers. And so if you can grab those first people, then take it up to the next level. Once you get some more midline support, then it's easier to go all the way up to the top that you need to get to. Neil, you might have something to add.
You know, we'd be happy to provide other information if you ever want to email us or contact Shelby and she can forward you to us. We have other resources or other ideas to about getting that process started at your institution. But I just want to say that you're on a great path. Like, being part of EIM-OC is awesome, and we want you here. And I bet there's already people on campus who are interested in this kind of thing, even if they aren't aware of EIM-OC. And sometimes, like on my institution, I got people interested because I said, look, we're already doing these things. Now we can get some recognition for this work that is being done. And this is how we do it. And that was a good way to get in with several different people and actually with our employee wellness program. But we would love to, help you if you have additional questions, or you want Carrie or I or anybody else on the committee to speak with you or others and help them understand the process and why it's important. We'd love to do that for you.
Perfect. And yeah, just a plug for our resources as well. Feel free to check out our website. We do have a webinar. Well, this webinar we'll put onto our webinar series webpage. We do have a webinar that's EIM on Campus 101 that might be particularly helpful for you in implementing a program on your campus. And she says she will reach out, so that's great. Mm-hmm. That's all the questions at this point.
Well, and we know some of your questions probably will come later as you're thinking about this, and you may remember, or you may think, oh, maybe they addressed this, but I don't remember the answer. Feel free to reach out to us, email Shelby, and she'll forward it to Carrie and I or others who can answer that question, because we know sometimes you don't have any questions at the moment, but then later you're like, oh, wait, what was I supposed to do? Where was I supposed to go? And so, yeah, just email eim@acsm.org if you have questions now or later during the process, and we'll be able to get that taken care of.
Thank you guys for joining us. We're glad to have you on here. We're really glad for the questions. As Neil said, don't be afraid to reach out if you have a question about your EIM-OC or someone else's EIM-OC, or if you want to get connected with other schools that maybe are similar to yours. We are happy to make those connections. We're happy to talk to you. We're happy to give resources or maybe create some new ideas.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us today, and we hope you all have a safe and festive holiday season.
Thank you.